Welcome to the Mod Golf YouTube channel. I am your host, Colin Weston, and today my guest is entrepreneur, co-founder, president, and CEO of golfballs.com, and that is Tom Cox. And Tom and I just finished up a conversation on our audio podcast, and we talked about his entrepreneurial journey, the backstory, the formation over 25 years ago of golfballs.com. So we're going to mix it up a little bit here. We're going to talk about some other things. Otherwise, why the heck would you go back and listen to that amazing conversation? Because we want you to be a viewer here and hopefully encourage you to be a listener also. So to start things off, I want to bring Tom on here and introduce him again. Tom, great to see you, and thank you again for joining me on the Mod Golf Podcast.
Great being here with you today, Colin. Appreciate the invitation.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I'm going to launch right into it here. So, like I said, we talked about the past. All of our viewers got to go back and listen to the podcast episode to hear that amazing story. So let's talk about where you are now and the future. But starting, let's say the last year, this little thing called a pandemic with COVID, how did that affect your business? Golf is growing. So I'm curious to hear your sales up. How did you then change from kind of your workplace culture? Tell us about all the things. Tell us how COVID over the last 12 or 14 months has changed your business and the opportunities that you see moving forward.
Sure. So we started last year with really nice growth. We consistently grow in the 10 to 20% range year over year, and we were at about that pace until mid-March. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit. It obviously came out of somewhere, but to us, it kind of came out of nowhere because we felt like we were kind of insulated in the U.S. from a lot of this. And so we were way up entering March, and then by the end of March, golf courses started closing, retail started closing. Everyone was told to stay at home. And if you had a business or if you had a job or if you had pretty much anything, it was a very scary time. I mean, we're not unique in that, business is just, my wife's also an entrepreneur, and both of our businesses really slowed to a crawl. And we're going, holy cow, what is this going to mean? And then gradually over time, the authorities really throughout the country came to the realization or conclusion or whatever you want to call it that golf is a COVID safe sport. Golf is a COVID safe sport. And so from while golf rounds the second half of March were in decline, April was in decline, they just started picking up again and again and again. All the while our business, when retail stores were closing, our corporate business slowed down a lot, but our consumer business stayed steady. Corporate business sells to tournaments stopped, right? And so tournaments stopped. Nobody needs to buy logo golf balls for tournaments if there's no tournaments, golf tournaments or events or anything like that. But the consumer activity started climbing and climbing and climbing. And we saw growth in the consumer channel in excess of 50% for several months during the year. It was something else. Part of it was because golf was growing and it was a COVID safe sport. Part of it was that we were online and e-commerce just really got supercharged during the pandemic. And so when we got around to the end of the year, golf rounds had normalized, e-commerce was still up, and so we had a fantastic fourth quarter. But I'll tell you an interesting story. Our governor, we had about the same number of orders to process every day. We have about 150 employees across three facilities, and we could only have 8 people in the building at any given point in time to process all of the orders that needed to go out, and we had to do it safely, and we had to put all the right protocols in place. So just a snapshot of what it was like running a golf business at that time. We're not the only ones that experienced this, but it was a really tough time. But demand just started ramping up. It really did. And so golf rounds, while they were down, way down, I want to say it was like by the end of April, rounds were down something like 15 or 18% on the year. By the time we got to the end of the year, golf rounds were up about 15%, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it in front of me right now. And so it really swung hard the other way. And year to date, it seems to have stuck so far. We'll see what happens in the second half of the year, right? Everybody's waiting to see, but it seems like the demand's there, and it seems like golf rounds and a lot of the people that entered the game are still playing the game, and so we're all excited about kind of potentially kind of a new growth phase for the golf industry.
Got it. Got it. One thing in our earlier conversation I really didn't consider or even think about asking you as far as your business model, and it seems like you are a two-sided marketplace. So you're a B2B or business to business play and also a business to consumer, a B2C. So what percentage, because of the customization that you're a world leader in, it sounds like now I understand that there was great opportunity, especially in volume
Yeah.
for corporate tournaments and corporate clients. Before COVID hit, what percentage of your business roughly was B2B and what was B2C, and how is that recalibrated to be more, I'm assuming, weighted more on the business to consumer side?
You
So
know,
how has that changed in the
it,
last year?
that is a great question. It was pre-COVID, it was two-thirds, one-third. So 80% of what we sell is customized overall, customized
Right.
in every channel. Two-thirds corporate, two-thirds consumer, one-third corporate. By the time we finished 2020, that was more like 75, 25, 75 consumer, 25 corporate, right? So our corporate business had fallen off, not entirely, but it had fallen off considerably. As we're entering this year, it's starting to rebalance. And so people are having tournaments again. And so I'd say if you ask me today, about 35% of our business overall is in the B2B or corporate channel, and the balance is in our consumer channel.
Interesting. So those have completely flipped themselves on their head there as far as the percentages. Have you found, it would seem to me that if I'm ordering golf balls from you, a dozen or 2 dozen as compared to 100 dozen, that you don't have the economy of scale there. Have you found now that having more consumer fulfillment, that it's more, the term you use, like high touch, or it takes a bit more work to fill those orders because they are smaller orders? How has that changed your workflow and your processes with
So every
golfballs.com?
year we try to engineer our processes to be more efficient. We have a pad printing operation, and we also have a digital printing operation. And so sometimes, depending on the volume of the imprint, if it involves multiple colors, we may do it on our digital printers. If it is a simple one color imprint like a personalization, it's actually more efficient, even in a 1 dozen quantity, for us to burn a plate, to print, to mix the ink, and to print it using pad printers versus digital. So we've got a very efficient pad printing process. We're kind of built for one, but we are a little bit more efficient for corporate orders with business logos at higher quantities.
Got it. Got it. So I want to dig into this a little bit. So what do you do as far as that supply chain of delivering customized products? How much do you do yourselves? How much do you outsource or already comes to you? Have you bought other kind of companies or in over the last 20 years in order to fulfill that, or have you just done that from scratch and just built that up yourself? So I'm curious to learn about that a little bit. And let's say if I order a dozen Pro V1Xs, I'm in Vancouver and I want the Vancouver Canucks logo. So if I ordered right now, look at your website, if I ordered 2 dozen of those right now, how would that order be fulfilled and what would you do to make that happen?
So we have a licensing agreement with several organizations and several companies. So we have a full range of NFL, NBA, NHL, NCAA licenses that you can come to us and order customized golf balls, and we actually print those on demand. So it's a pretty efficient process for us. Customers don't know it's on demand because they just order what they want and we ship it to them. So on the on demand side just has to do with the efficient processes that we use that we use to get it to you. If you wanted it tomorrow, we could get it to you tomorrow. If we don't actively market into Canada at this point in time because not all of our manufacturer relationships. There are some products that we can sell into Canada, and there's some that we can't sell into Canada as well. If it was on a product line that we can, you would have it in just a few days, right? And if you were in the U.S. and you wanted it tomorrow, you could have it tomorrow. We kind of offer that type of service level as well. If somebody's in a rush, most people don't need golf balls in an emergency rush like that. But during Christmas, during the Christmas holiday or Father's Day, you'd be amazed. There's a lot of rush orders that come through, and our software system automatically prioritizes the most important kind of to get teed up to get processed next. So if something's not time sensitive, it's back in the line. If something's very time sensitive, it gets moved to the front of the line and gets batched probably in the next order batch that comes through. It's a little technical, but that's just how our production process works.
Got it. So I love the fact that you've managed to stay ahead of the curve over the last 25 years. You talked on the podcast earlier how in the early 2000s, how you got out of the used golf ball business. You saw the writing on the wall there that the business opportunity was shrinking or disappearing there and getting too competitive. So I'm curious now, perhaps what you can share with us, if anything at all. I know it's hard to crystal ball gaze what we've been through the last year because you never knew something like this was going to happen with COVID.
Right.
But where do you see kind of the trends and patterns emerging, or maybe other opportunities that you can share with us, without putting too many secrets out there, either in that industry or even perhaps other entrepreneurial opportunities that excite you, that perhaps you want to go play in that sandbox too? Can you tell us about the future for you and golfballs.com?
Sure. So if I'm prognosticating, more and more products will be sold online. That's an easy one. I don't have to be a genius to predict that. And more products will be customized. People like customized products. Over the last few years, if you have watched tournament golf on the weekends, I want to say half of the tour guys use a Sharpie and they write a line halfway around the ball for putting alignment and for, I think it just helps their game overall. But it's like a game improvement technology. We developed a way to print that at scale, 360 degrees halfway around the ball, and put somebody's name or business name inside of it. And so if you look at, and it's called Align XL, and we're the only ones that produce Align XL. And so again, kind of back in with the theme we talked about on the podcast, we like to do things that other people can't do, or that other people choose not to do, or that are difficult to do. We kind of feel like we've got some time frame where we have a barrier to entry for people producing that product that's extremely popular among tour pros right now. We look for these places in the market where we can develop technology and printing processes and that meets a certain demand in the marketplace that big companies probably won't follow. Like Amazon's not in the golf ball printing business. They're not going to do it. Maybe there are some other large competitors that kind of dabble in it, but mostly they do plain personalization. We like to take the part of the market where you really have to invent your own equipment to be able to do this process, and it creates a great kind of a magnetic customer relationship. Because if they have a good experience with you, you're the only place that they can go to get the product, right? And so Align XL is an example of that. There's so many different variations of this that and it's not just a line on a golf ball. There are a lot of elements of customization. Our wheelhouse is e-commerce plus golf plus mass customization. And our energy, we focus on being the best in that space, and we believe that space is continuing to grow every year.
Got it. Just a fun question here, kind of keeping it family friendly here, because I'm sure you get all kinds of different requests, some of them maybe not so PG as others. But what is one of the funniest requests that you've managed to fulfill as far as customization or personalization on a golf ball?
All right, so we have printed balls for heads of state. We have printed balls for a lot of athletes with a lot of sayings, a lot of professional athletes. My favorite one, and I can't even, it's got to be family friendly. So I'm going to
Well, it
say
doesn't have to be super family
it
friendly,
was
but you know, friendly enough.
somebody that was in the movie Pulp Fiction that had a wallet that said bad something something on it, and he was a hitman in the movie. One of his friends ordered some golf balls with that on the ball on some golf balls for that person and shipped it to him. And so you can kind of put the pieces together
Yeah.
here, and like and we're probably not supposed to print that on a dozen golf balls. On the other hand, who's going to say no to that?
Right.
Like, it's such a classic line. It's such a from a classic movie. Anyway, I don't want to dance around it, but anybody that's seen Pulp Fiction, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
so that is my favorite personalization.
Nice. Good story. So I just want to hear about as you developed the business over the years, how important has marketing, not only marketing, but even consistent messaging as far as we talked about your culture and your identity and your purpose earlier, just getting that across so that you build that trust and that awareness for people that may not have heard of golfballs.com before, rather and there's other choices out there. They can go directly now if they wanted to go to the Titleist website and order some balls. What is that differentiator? Like how do you reach out to them to incentivize people to come visit your website?
Sure. So we have about 15 years ago we staked the claim, the world leader in golf customization, and we try to live up to it. And we don't try to be the world leader in putters. We don't try to be the world leader in head covers. We try to be the world leader in really customized golf products. And kind of our name lends you to believe that is golf balls, but we customize all sorts of golf products. In our customer's mind, we want to be the best at customized golf balls, the best at customized golf products. And if you walked around our facility, or if you see our commercials on the Golf Channel, we talk about it. We talk about it all the time. We don't say we're the best. We're the best at golf shoes in the world, or the best at practice aids. You know, we are the world leader in golf customization, and we reinforce that both internally to our staff so that our standards remain high, and externally to our customers so that they know where to go for customized golf products.
Love that. And for entrepreneurs out there, that's that notion of really focusing and being consistent and knowing who you are, finding your voice, and you found that, and staying in your lane, even though you iterate and you maybe expand your lane or shift it a little bit as you go over time. But that's to say, you don't try to be everything to everyone. So if I want a bowl of spaghetti or someone to knit me a sweater, I'm obviously not going to golfballs.com unless I'm just not finding that tab on your website.
We do sell a full selection of golf products. We carry shoes, we carry gloves, we carry bags, we carry all of that, but we always lead out with our strength. And our strength is customized golf products. And the other products they somewhat draft off of that. Right. But if you lead out with it, that's going to be that is the vast majority of the products that we sell.
Right. Well, it sounds like you've got your call to action crystallized, right? It's just one thing. And you talked about that earlier, as far as even having your core values. You said you had like a dozen or 13 of them, and it's just too many. You just need to distill that down, one or two things that people can remember and hold on to, or even one in this case, the fact you're the world leader in golf customization, and stop, nice as simple. And that is your strength. And that's a great entrepreneurial kind of insight to be consistent with. So to end things here, I want to ask a little more about your entrepreneurial experience. Is there any entrepreneurs or leaders out there, people that have inspired you over the years, or things that you've watched or books that you've read, or something, that's inspired you as either a direct mentor, someone in your life, or something that you've watched, or someone that you've talked to?
So I'd say, in terms of, I'll cover all of them really quickly. One,
okay.
Books. Vern Harnish, he's got a few of them. Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, Scaling Up. Those are two of my favorites. They're real deal handbooks on how to effectively grow a business. In terms of inspiration, I have a peer group of entrepreneurs, business owners that I spend a lot of time with. You're kind of a reflection of the people that you spend the most the most amount of time with, and that's who I spend a lot of time with. And then on my board of directors, they're also the same type of people. I've got several board members that are avid golfers and great friends that have built companies that have gone public, and they're at the top of their game, and they help guide me along the way in different areas. They each have a different expertise, I would say they are really my mentors. But if I said their name or said that they were mentors, they would laugh and say,
Right.
you're kidding me, right, Tom? Anyway, so I've got a great board of directors, and I've got a great circle of business associates, and at this point, I've got a great team members and employees that are fantastic drivers of the business that are helping to create the next iteration of the company.
I love that. Love that. And just to end on that note, just once again, just kind of solid nuggets of wisdom there for all entrepreneurs out there. You cannot and should not do it alone. You don't have all the answers. You're going to have gaps. There's things that aren't your strengths, and bring other people in, ask questions, offer to provide help for others, to give back. And I've noticed on your LinkedIn profile, you have a long history of volunteerism also. So you're also giving back to the community also. Which, just to end on, I believe you do some community building work in Lafayette and in Louisiana with golfballs.com. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the work that you do there?
So we do it with golfballs.com, and just a good example of that is Opportunity Machine, which is a startup center in Lafayette. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur, and I spend a lot of time helping guide the organization as its chair. In fact, I had a coaching session with a young entrepreneur earlier today as part of that. But my team members will often get involved. We've got a great marketing team and a great technology team, and if we feel like we can help a local company work through a rough patch, or help them with some marketing ideas, or help them get through, help them evolve their company, I'll pull my executive team together, and we'll sit down with their leadership team and spend an hour or two with them to help them advance their business. We love to do things like that.
Love that. Love that. And I just feel this from you as an entrepreneur. You're always curious. You're always looking for the next thing. You always want to improve. And a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people don't do that. They figure out either I'm complacent or it's good enough, or their ego gets in the way. And I can sense that. And I know from what you've done so far, and a little bit I know about you now, Tom, I wouldn't consider you what some people love to be called as a serial entrepreneur. You are a successful entrepreneur, and I'd rather be called a successful entrepreneur over a serial entrepreneur any day of the week. And you certainly are that, sir. So this has been a pleasure talking to you. I consider you a mentor now, along with my other 100+ guests on the podcast, because I learn something from them every single time. And I've certainly learned a lot about life and entrepreneurship and business from you today. So Tom Cox, President, Founder, CEO of golfballs.com. Thanks very much for joining me today on the Mod Golf Podcast.
It's been great being on, Colin. Thank you so much.